What if the worst thing that ever happened to you wasn't a mistake, wasn't bad luck, wasn't something to forgive yourself for surviving, but was actually something you could learn to love? Not tolerate. Not accept begrudgingly. Actually love, the way you love something you'd choose again if you had the choice. That idea sounds almost offensive at first. But it's exactly what Friedrich Nietzsche was pointing at with one of his most misunderstood ideas, Amor Fati, the love of fate. Most people, when they first hear this phrase, assume it means something passive, a shrug, a resigned, it is what it is. That's not even close to what Nietzsche meant, and it's actually the opposite of his intention. Amor Fati isn't resignation. It's not lowering your expectations until disappointment becomes impossible. It's an active, deliberate stance toward everything that has happened to you, the failures, the losses, the humiliations, the years you can't get back, choosing to say yes to all of it, not because it was good, but because it was yours, and because your entire self was built out of exactly those events, no exceptions. Nietzsche wrote that his formula for greatness in a human being was wanting nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not for all eternity. Not merely bearing what is necessary, but loving it. That distinction matters enormously. Bearing something is survival with your teeth clenched. Loving it is a completely different posture, one where you stop treating your past as a wound you're managing and start treating it as raw material you've already turned into who you are. Here's why this matters more than it sounds like it should. You probably carry at least one event you wish had never happened. A relationship that ended badly. A decision that cost you something you can't get back. A version of yourself you're embarrassed by. And you likely relate to that event through resistance, wishing, on some level, that a different timeline existed where it never occurred. But that wish is quietly exhausting you, because it's a fight against something that already happened, something that cannot be changed no matter how much energy you throw at resisting it. Amor Fati asks you to redirect that exact same energy somewhere useful. Instead of fighting the fact that it happened, you examine what it made possible. The failure that humiliated you probably also taught you something no comfortable success ever could have. The relationship that ended likely showed you exactly what you actually need, information you didn't have before it fell apart. This isn't toxic positivity, pretending painful things were secretly good all along. It's something sharper. It's recognizing that the specific person you are right now, with whatever strength, awareness, or clarity you currently have, was built using those exact events as materials, not despite them. Nietzsche took this even further with a thought experiment he called eternal recurrence. He asked you to imagine that you'd have to live your exact life again, every joy and every suffering, in the same order, forever, on an infinite loop. Not a slightly improved version. The actual one, mistakes included. He asked whether this idea would crush you, or whether you could imagine responding to it as the greatest news you'd ever received. This isn't a literal cosmological claim he was making. It's a test, a way of asking how fully you're willing to own your actual life instead of some cleaner, edited version of it you keep wishing for instead. Most people fail this test constantly, not through some dramatic collapse, but through small daily moments of quiet resentment toward their own history. Wishing they'd chosen differently. Wishing they'd started sooner. Wishing they hadn't wasted those years. Amor Fati doesn't ask you to pretend those years weren't wasted if they were. It asks you to stop performing an emotional argument with a version of the past you cannot access, and instead put that same energy into fully inhabiting the person those years built. You can practice this without turning it into some grand philosophical exercise. Take the one memory you resist the most, the one you flinch away from when it surfaces. Instead of pushing it back down, ask yourself honestly what it taught you that you couldn't have learned any easier way. Not to justify what happened. Some things that happen to you are genuinely unfair and don't need a silver lining forced onto them. But to notice that you're currently standing on ground that event helped build, whether you wanted that foundation or not. This is the difference between a person who's still fighting their own history and a person who's finally stopped bracing against it. One of them spends enormous energy resisting something that's already fixed and unchangeable. The other redirects that same energy into becoming fully, unapologetically the person their actual life produced, mistakes, losses, and all. If this idea landed with you, hit subscribe, because this channel exists to bring you exactly this kind of philosophy every single day. Drop a comment with the one moment in your life you're finally ready to stop resisting and start owning instead, because naming it is usually the first real step. Like this video if it shifted something, and come back tomorrow, because next time we're exploring Wu Wei, the ancient Taoist art of effortless action, and why trying harder is often the exact thing keeping you stuck.